Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ellen. Today we're going to have fun just painting loosely, intuitive painting using poinsettia, or whatever you want to call it. I go over this step by step. I show you the technique I use to paint this. Super kind of intuitive, just using a few techniques, painting in the poinsettia, kind of removing the color, using lifting techniques. Super fun to create just this really kind of unique style. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. And without further ado, let's get started. So go on my Patreon if you want to see how I drew this simple poinsettia. But you can see poinsettias all over the internet. You don't necessarily need to see that. But if you want to, go on my Patreon, join my Patreon. You get that. You get the real-time tutorial. Here I'm showing you, I'm using Fabriano 100% cotton cold pressed paper here. I'm grabbing flat wash brushes. I'm probably going to use my Princeton 3/4 inch flat wash brush the most. I'm using this color called Pyrole Rubin from Holbein. It's one of my favorite colors. And I'll mix that with some cadmium red light from Holbein. I like to mix the two colors. And I also have a brush I'm going to be using, the Princeton 12 Aqua Elite. It's one of my favorite brushes to use these days. So I'm just combining those two reds. And we're going to get started on painting the poinsettia. Okay, so with the chisel end, which is the skinny end, you kind of just make like a line wiggling down. And depending on how wide you want your leaf, you do a skinny, fatter, you just go like that. And then I grab some water in my brush and I just kind of fill in the leaf. And you kind of do this to all the petals, but of course you want it to go into the center, so you want to make it a little bit more pointed going inward. Like I'm fixing that. I want it to have a skinny kind of petal going to go in, and then put the wider side out. So, just make like a simple leaf. If you've been painting watercolor for a while, I've been painting leaves. I have tutorials on how to paint leaves and petals. Go check those out. But this particular one, poinsettias have like a wiggly kind of petal. And they're fairly large and some are small, like peeking in the back. Because there's many layers to them. Kind of like a sunflower, but a little different, The sunflowers are shorter, smaller, skinnier petals and have many layers. The poinsettia has fatter ones, soft lit petal leaves, and they'll be like kind of like in a star shape, really, if you think about it. It's a star shape. So here I'm going to paint in all my poinsettias, my leaves, make them fatter or skinnier, depending on how you want to do it. In the composition, I didn't really think too much about where I was placing this. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And sometimes I meant to do it a certain way and I didn't. I meant to kind of put it off to the side, have one up in the left-hand corner, but ended up putting one in the center, so I'll end up doing this and then probably putting one down below and on top, as you can see. So just speeding up a little bit, I'm doing the same technique that I did in the first one in the center. I'm going to put one up coming off the paper on top, and then I'm going to do one kind of coming off the paper on the bottom. Again, you can change your composition up to what you want to do. You can have 2 or 3 just kind of like in the center. I was just playing around with this to see what, because I already screwed up by putting one in the center, but actually not too bad. I kind of like offset that by having the other 2, one in there on top and one on the bottom. So now I've mixed up my greens using cadmium yellow deep and Prussian blue. And depending on how much yellow you use, you get this medium green or a really deep green. If you want the really deep green and it's a little too bluish, add a little burnt umber to it. And I'm just making simple leaves here. Again, on the right-hand side, down below. It's intuitive painting. You figure out where you want to put the leaves. I put them where I put them, adding a little deeper color. Put one here, one there. I'll have them like on the top, playing with that. And then I'm going to go in and do my special technique that I love to do always. It's kind of, I call it kind of erasing the flower, but it has this really beautiful, soft, atmospheric look to it when you do it. So I'm going to put the leaves in. I've grabbed some more Pyrole Rubin, a loose, wet red paint. I want a little bit deeper color. I just felt like it was getting too washed out, this red on my poinsettia. And I'll add it here and there on the main one and on the upper one and the bottom one, just to give a little bit of oomph with the color, just kind of really dulled out before I just start to add the water on my brush and kind of mush the color itself. So some of the paint's completely dry and some of it's going to be wet. It's kind of what I want to do. So I've cleaned up my brush with my flat wash brush, and I'm grabbing just some water, and now I'm just kind of mushing that flower, right? I kind of put a little pressure on the paper and kind of taking off the paint. So it's kind of like lifting the paint, but I'm lifting it off. I'm cleaning off my brush again, and I'll go back in here and I'll keep doing this. And be very careful when you go near the greens because if mixed too much, they'll turn brown. So you kind of want to stay away from each other a little bit. I'll keep cleaning off my brush. I'll go in there. And if I feel like it's getting too much red, I can go in and grab a paper towel and lift up some of the color. So as you see, I'm just kind of taking the water. My hand is going back into that water jar and grabbing water and kind of mushing that paint around. Going back in, I can tap it on the paper towel. Now I'll grab that paper towel and I'll just kind of remove some of that paint. It's just a little too red for me. So again, same technique. I'll grab the water and I'll kind of play around with mushing that very carefully. And the green area too. I'll mush the green area. See, I cleaned up my brush each time because you don't want a muddy brush. That's the key. Clean that brush. I go back and clean it with I have a big water bucket there. It's 2 or 3 I have in my desk usually at all times. So now the green's kind of a little bit brown mixed into the red, but it's not a big deal. I'll grab a little bit of yellow and throw that in, have some fun with it. And I'll keep doing this mushing until I feel like, okay, I've done enough mushing. Then I can kind of add some paint here and there. It's kind of a fun, intuitive way to paint. And sometimes I just don't know where I'm going. I just kind of go in the flow. I'm in the flow. I got the music playing, I'm just kind of figuring out where I want to do this. I might add some paint here and there. Like, see, I'm going to go back and grab some greens. Clean up my brush. I might put a stem or 2 in there. Just figuring out as I'm doing this. And I'm adding some green in the bottom. I stand up when I do this. Obviously, if you can't stand up, don't stand up. But I stand up, so I'm going to add a stem. It's still damp, but the paint is a little thicker. And you go in there and just kind of play around with adding in leaves, whatever you want to do. You can do branches, holly leaves. I'll add some more greens, all that good stuff. And another leaf up top. Lots of fun playing with adding leaves on the top, on the bottom, left and right, here and there. You can have a blast doing this. So like I said, I'll just keep kind of playing with the wet. Now that basically almost the whole page is all damp, I'll go add some color here and there. I'll figure out where I want to add some thicker, greens, maybe a stem or 2. It's just kind of how I feel. I'll add a stem up here. I'm sorry, you can't really see it that well, but it's just basically a stem, and then I'll add some leaves off of that. I had to change up my angle. Sorry, guys. So you can see it better. That will happen next time. Anyway, you're just adding all that good stuff, adding all the greens, and then letting it seep in. You add some variety too, like this like chartreuse greens, some bright greens, some dark greens, all that good stuff. I'll grab some yellow right out of the tube, put little dots in the center. I'll also grab some deep dark blackish kind of color. I mix ultramarine blue deep and burnt sienna and kind of put that in the center of a poinsettia. They have like the deeper, darker colors in the center, and you can add some yellow on top. It's a great way to play with that. I'll take my Princeton No. 4 liner brush and go grab some pyrole Rubin and put some nice little veins in there. So just a line down the center of those poinsettia leaves and some lines off to the left and the right of that. Go Google what a poinsettia leaf looks like, and you'll see like the veins in the leaves. Just as simple. You don't have to do it every single petal. Less is more, right? Here and there. Just here and there, you have that deeper red, doing the veins on the left and the right side of the painting. It just adds a little something. We might go in and add some holly leaves, berries, all that good stuff. You have to kind of figure out what you want to do, if it looks good. I feel like I need some like deeper red in that poinsettia, so I'm going to add some. So now that it's kind of somewhat dry, I've gone back and grabbed my pyrole Rubin, and I'll kind of go play with adding some deeper color behind some of these. Could add a little bit of ultramarine blue deep, just a teeny bit. So this that one in the back kind of recedes, right? With some shadow in there. Not necessary to, by the way, just some things that I'm playing with. Please, by all means, play as well. Now that one comes in the forefront. And I'll just kind of clean off my brush. I gave this one a little bit more depth. Cleaning off my brush and kind of blending that back out. But you see that one more in depth, and then we could do the same thing with here. Again, not necessary. It's kind of if you want to play with adding some more deeper reds or not. Completely up to your discretion. This is still very wet. And I used the 12 Aqua Elite to play with this. I don't want to go fussing too much because I really like that soft look. So now it's completely dry. I have to assess, like, what do I like, dislike? I don't like this little green area, so I'm going to fill this in. Those little blooms that happened. I'll take some green and I'll just go right over that. And, you know, whatever color greens I want to do. I'm mixing up some medium green here. I'm just going to go right over that section and add, like, more color for, like, a real leaf. Using the number 12 Princeton Aqua Elite brush. You see it just, and then that whole ugly little spot is gone. These are the things you got to do, right? You got to go back in and assess what you want to do, how you want to do it, add some leaves. Do I want to add some berries? I'm thinking about it. Where would I put it? I don't know. Does it need berries? Every now and then you have to assess it. So I might grab my liner brush. I love a liner brush. It's always great. I'm going to grab some burnt umber with my liner brush. And I'm going to put in a simple little branch in the bottom here. Little branches off that. And then I'm going to go in and put some sweet little berries in there. Liner brushes are great. It's like the easiest brush to use for branches and twigs and trees. I love them. Much better than using maybe like a Princeton 8 long round and like a smaller round brush. And then I'll just grab a round brush and grab the red colors and I'll do a circle, a little berry. Now you don't want to do 1 berry, 2 berry, 3 berry, 4. You want to cluster a few here and there. It looks a little more natural than just doing 1 or 2 here and there. And I'll just kind of put those in. So, you know, it fills up the lovely, you know, picture. Much better than doing nothing. And I'll add some up here on the top because I felt like this needed it in a little section. Maybe I could add somewhere else, but don't overdo it. Don't put berries everywhere because you'll be like, okay, it's berries city. You know, like I said, add them on the bottom, maybe add some on the top. Or don't add any at all. You can add some holly leaves. You can add some ribbons. Get creative with your paintings, people. I'm giving you a million ideas. Again, don't do like 1, 2 soldier berries. You want to cluster them here and there. And that's it. Pretty much, you know, maybe I'll add a little bit of green that goes in the berry branches. I'm going to go back and grab my yellow and stick it right in the middle, right out of the tube, and then let it dry because before it was kind of blending too much in the center. And I'll grab some greens and I'll add that to the branches of the berries. I feel like it needs a little something. You know, sometimes you just kind of look back. It's good to stand away from your pictures every now and then to see. And to me, it felt like it needed a little something sitting there. You know, again, you have to assess this for yourself. It's very kind of intuitive when you're painting this way. So I really hope you enjoyed this. I love painting this way. It's one of my favorite ways to paint, you know, changing up the whole entire picture. Like I said, you go back in, you can add the veins, all the little details at the end, whatever works for you. Let me know in the comments if you like this picture. Like I say, Patreon members get the real-time tutorial. This is a shortened version of it. Click the link in the description box below if you'd like to join my Patreon. We have exclusive tutorials on Thursdays, like extra tutorials from YouTube, real-time tutorials, Facebook group, and all kinds of goodies where you get first dibs in watercolor workshops and retreats. And a lot of times it doesn't even go out to the public. It goes Patreon first and sells out pretty quickly. So kind of pays off to be a patron, which I really appreciate. And I appreciate my viewership here on YouTube. So I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope you're having fun painting things like this. Let me know in the comments if you enjoy painting this style. I'm always curious to see, and I hope you have a great day. Happy painting!